ladies and gentlemen. I think we're going to start punctually today. Good day to everyone, and thanks for joining us in our discussion on media and information literacy at the global feature event of today's World Press Freedom Day. My name's Dennis Reineck. I'm from DW Academy, a German media development organization, and we're presenting today's panel. I'll be hosting this session dedicated to media and information literacy, or as you might be hearing later on, the abbreviations MIL or MIL are also used. But media and information literacy is actually what's meant. The key question is which role MIL can play as an antidote or bulwark for problematic trends in public communication, such as hate speech, misinformation, or polarization. For those of you not familiar with the term, MIL is a composite of media literacy on the one hand, which roughly deals with how members of the audience access and evaluate media, but also create their own, and information literacy on the other, which is rooted more in the retrieval of information traditionally situated at libraries. So in today's converging media and information landscape, it makes sense to put both together to broaden the perspective and to come to terms with a digital world in which the boundaries between media use, information retrieval, and interpersonal communication have been blurred considerably. So I'm happy to be joined by an illustrious round of experts to help us navigate through this rugged terrain. First, let me start here on the left by welcoming Rosarita Nikan-Widya-Stuti, Director General of Information and Public Communication at the Ministry of Communication and Information Technology of Indonesia. Ms. Widya-Stuti is a media expert for the Asia-Pacific region, having served both as President of the Asia-Pacific Institute for Broadcasting Development and as Vice Chairperson of the Program Committee of Asia-Pacific Broadcasting Union. She's also an experienced journalist and broadcaster and will no doubt be telling us more about Indonesia's considerable efforts in the field of MIL. Welcome. It is also my pleasure to introduce to you Adama Liba, Youth Representative of the UN's Communication Coordination Committee and previous head of the Global Alliance for Partnerships in Media and Information Literacy Youth Committee. Originally from the Gambia, she is a social activist and feminist and will make sure that we not only talk about the youth as the most important target group of MIL, but also learn about the youth's perspective on the issues we're facing. Welcome. I'm excited that Claire Deavy, Facebook's head of social good for the Asia-Pacific region, has managed to join us. She oversees community engagement activities of the social network in the region and establishes partnerships aiming to create social and economic opportunities for people in the APAC region. Previously, she worked for Microsoft, cultivating corporate social responsibility programs in the region. Thanks a lot for being here. Next is Mr. Abdullah Al-Kafawin, MIL and digital literacy trainer with extensive journalistic experience all the way from Jordan. He's currently working as a project specialist on the EU-funded Media and Information Literacy project that Jordan Media Institute is implementing with UNESCO currently. And he's been training on digital media literacy topics across Jordan. Great to have you with us. And last but not least, Mr. Pa Nguyen Thiang, founder and executive director of the Cambodian Center for Independent Media, CCIM, which promotes free media and access to information and freedom of expression. Currently, they're running a multimedia program called Voice of Democracy, training youths and people from rural communities as citizen journalists, and are also involved in other MIL activities funded by DW Academy. Thanks very much for coming. So, we thought we'd actually start by not having a dry discussion, but I asked the participants actually to bring some pictures with them that to them show us what MIL means to them. And that's what we'll be doing now. So I'd like to ask the participants, when your picture comes up, just to quickly explain what we can see here and what to you the picture symbolizes. So let's start with this picture.
Hello everybody. Like he earlier introduced me, my name is Dama Liba. And just a little bit of correction. I am still the head of the Global Alliance on Media and Information Literacy, the Youth Committee.
Okay, sorry for that. That was wrong in the biography because it said she was, which,
okay.
Anyway.
Yeah, correct that. So this picture has so many stories to tell. My country, the Gambia, was ruled by a dictator that many people know. His name is Yahya Jammeh for almost 2 decades. And on December 2nd, he was actually voted out by the people. And this photo is a couple of journalists, and you can just see how amazed, how excited their faces are by looking at the news and actually reading something which says the former president of the Gambia, Yahya Jammeh, is actually leaving the country. So what MIL implies to me is access to information and sharing it. Thank you.
Okay, so moving on. This picture, I think, is from Facebook.
It is picture/infographic. I took a broad definition of picture. First of all, thank you for having me here today. It's my second trip to Indonesia from Singapore this week, so I'm quite excited. And I was lucky enough at lunch to spend some time learning from all these people, and you have such an interesting and diverse panel here. So when I joined Facebook, I've been working in this area for about 18 years, and my core skill and what I've worked on is around building partnerships. And what drew me to Facebook when I left Microsoft after being there for 10 years was the commitment all the way through the company about making the world a more open and connected place, and that really is at the heart of what we do. In the last few months, our CEO, Mark Zuckerberg, actually put together what that means going forward and got a little bit more specific around it. And he really broke that into 5 key areas. So the first thing is, in order to create this space, we need to help create supportive communities. So places where people feel connected to other people, they feel that they have support when they're in times of difficulty. A safe community. One of the areas that I work on is around disaster response and safety check. So the idea of what can we do to help people feel safe when something goes wrong, how do we help, how do we use connections and technology to help them? Probably most critical to the audience that's here today is having an informed community. So how do we encourage good, authentic communication and information to be shared between the roughly or more than 1.8 billion people that are on Facebook every month? That's a huge community and a huge amount of information that can be shared around. The next thing is looking at a civically engaged community. So not everybody in the world has the opportunity to vote, to have their voice heard. Some people have the opportunity but choose not to. So how do we use connections to, again, help spread information and encourage people to have a voice or to raise their voice on issues that they feel really deeply about? And finally, an inclusive community. I know for me, when I first moved up to Singapore 10 years ago, it all felt very different when I came to live in this area. And I learned a whole lot of things about a whole lot of countries. And I went from feeling like someone outside coming into very much feeling like I'm part of this broader community, and I'm able to keep in contact with many of the people because of technology. So how do we create this inclusive community where we can respect each other's viewpoints and have an open discussion about it? Just finally, I think the key to all this for me is the local partnerships that we have when we develop things around media literacy. So just for Indonesia, we work with organisations like Sudadong, like YCAB, who know the people, they know the landscape, and they help us make better programs around this area.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank Dennis. Yeah, this is a picture from the Cambodia, the young group, they meet together, they study about the creative video blog. And you can see the girl at the middle who got the training on the MIL from our project, and later on she transferred her knowledge to her peer in her community. And this shows that she transformed, changed herself from doing nothing for society to contribute much to the society. And also after the training with a group of the youth, and they realized that they themselves, they understand how to connect with the world through the creating the video blog. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. And Mr. Al-Kafawi.
Thank Dennis, and thank you to be here. For me, MIL implements a new generation that has a knowledge and a critical mind, and it's empower to participants in their communities. Jordan, one of the first Arab countries, create a curriculum in the school, and this photo is taken while this girl. It's actually we have eight clubs, male clubs, in 8 schools after school clubs, and this photo it's taken. It's taken while they train to take photo, how to take photo, how to create content to put it on social media. Thank you.
Great, thanks a lot. So I think you've seen a whole kaleidoscope of what media and information literacy can mean and what it does mean on a day-to-day basis in practical work. Apparently there's a wrong presentation on now. Oh, okay. Ms. Widya Stuti, okay, sorry, yes. Okay, go ahead.
This picture shows a synergize of government and stakeholders. We have anti-hoax movement in Jakarta and also many other places in rural and also in government, local government. This picture shows that my minister, Mr. Rudi Antara, and many communities supported by Indonesian telematic community or MASTEL, we have Turn Back Hoax. Turn Back Hoax is an application to clarify if information hoax or not. And we can send the information, fake news, and etc. hoax through Turn Back Hoax. And also Ministry of Communication and Information Technology, also we have application aduan content or content complaint, and that the people can ask that information is hoax or not. And we have movement in many places around Indonesia, because hoax and hate speech are not only in Jakarta but also in the rural area.
Okay, thanks a lot. I'm going to ask you to focus some more on that later on in the conversation. Thanks a lot. Okay, could we go back to the other presentation? That would be great. So, let me perhaps start by citing an example from Germany. In April, the German government proposed a so-called network enforcement law aimed at combating hate speech. According to the Act, social networks such as Facebook are given 24 hours to remove obviously unlawful messages or risk prosecution. Organizations like the German Federation of Journalists, the Open Knowledge Foundation, and Reporters Without Borders have criticized the initiative. They fear this will lead to preemptive censorship of user messages by social networks, curbing free speech. So, interesting, in their declaration on freedom of expression, the organization, these organizations call for a cross-societal approach, strengthening counter-speech, fostering media literacy, and a regulatory framework that respects freedom of expression. So, Claire Deevy of Facebook. This is obviously something that, that Facebook probably has to do with time and time again, balancing law enforcement with freedom of speech. In what sense do you believe that media and information literacy can make a contribution towards curbing things such as hate speech without the laws having to come into effect?
So I think, let me just get straight out the gate by saying really clearly there is no place for hate speech on Facebook. And we have publicly available community standards that talk about what is and is not available or should be seen on Facebook. And on every single thing that you see on Facebook, there is a tiny little grey arrow in the top right-hand corner where you can report something if you believe it violates those community standards. And what we will take down, or what we will look at, is anything that is hate speech regarding race, ethnicity, sexual orientation, gender, serious disabilities or diseases. So these are very clearly stated. So I guess I want to put that out there in the first place. However, we also think that it is important that this is a holistic way of dealing with this issue. So the reason that my role exists and the person that I am is a partnership builder. And I work with local governments and local organisations to understand the nuance of what the issue is in that country and look at how we can best work with the community. So, for example, in Indonesia over the last 12 months, I mentioned two organisations, Sudadong and YCAB. We've done a tour around 7 cities of Indonesia talking to young people in high school through to universities about what are the core issues that they see online and what do they think we should do about it. So we can come up with ideas that they could build something, or perhaps it's something that we can work on. I'm working in the Philippines, again with schools, looking at how do we attach critical media thinking to the core competencies that are already being teaching in schools. So it's not about changing the curriculum, it's about what do teachers already have to do and how do we equip them to deal with media literacy when this changes so quickly. And then on hate speech, we also look to be creative and support the local community. In Indonesia, we ran an event called Beda Tapi Satu, which is means kind of same but different, coming together. And it was a hackathon over 3 days. We worked with Affinis Labs that brought together people from all over Indonesia to come up with ideas. And the winning team actually came up with an anti-hoax idea. So they're running an online channel now where they're addressing fake news head-on through humour. So actually looking at it, kind of making fun of it, educating people. And they've been supported with mentorship and with funding to get that up off the ground. So, as I said, this is really about, we have an amazing amount of things around our products, around technology that we can bring, but there's no way that I can know exactly what media literacy means to you in Malaysia, or it means in Australia, or it means in Indonesia. So this idea of partnerships is absolutely core, and I don't think you can attack it just from one area.
Okay. Obviously, in the public discussion, oftentimes it's said that Facebook isn't taking enough responsibility, isn't all that proactive in fighting against hate speech. You've mentioned some partnerships where this might be sort of that might be a catalyst for fighting against hate speech, but isn't maybe putting the responsibility in the court of the individual media user sort of shying away from responsibility?
So I think it's actually said it's a multifaceted approach. That's one way we're working with communities. The second thing is looking at our product itself. So we're continuing to try and evolve and improve our product to make it easier for people to report things that they think is against our policies. We're also working with, I'll give a really trivial example to make it easy. There may be things that you find offensive that is not against the community standards. Now, when you think about the fact that we have 1.8 billion people actively using Facebook every month, that's a lot of people, and the cultural ideas of somebody in maybe Northern Europe may be very different to what it is in Indonesia in terms of what they want to see. Trivial example, babies. I have 3 babies and I post lots of photos of my babies. Some people don't like to see photos of babies, so they can choose to actually turn off seeing posts from me. So everybody, in addition to us working at this very high level around the product, we're trying to work with people individually as well to say, we can help you if this is not a person you don't want to see, if this is a person that you need to block, here is the ability for you to do it. We work with NGOs around training so they can help get the message out further, particularly on news literacy. Just this week we've been working on a journalistic program, working with journalists to get their feedback on what we can do differently. What can we learn from you? How do we continue to improve? We've set up a funding with a group around news integrity where people, different organisations can apply for grants to come up with different ways that we can work on news integrity together. I think the key thing here is that everyone, government, media, social media, individuals, we all have to come together around this issue.
Okay, thanks. Coming back to the local context, now here in Indonesia, on the one hand, there are a number of MIL initiatives going on. Over half of the Indonesian population has internet access, so adverse digital trends like hate speech and fake news are a topic here. On the other hand, there's an electronic information and transactions law aimed at sites that are religiously, racially, or indeed socially discriminating. So my question to Ms. Widya Stuti is, how do you balance the two? Individual responsibility on the one hand, epitomized by MIL, and government intervention on the other?
I think government's not intervention of the content of media, also media social, but we have Indonesian law look like information and electronic transaction that to make healthy information in media social, because all freedom but limited by ethics and by professional, and also limited by law. And when someone create negative information, but negative information to face someone, and also content consists of hate speech, racist, and also intolerant, and also slander, and sometimes the negative content can support a conflict to the people, and also it will cause disintegration to the nation. So from the government, we have a task to block negative content if the content not adjust with the law.
Okay, so it's a balancing act, and I think that probably links to what the Vice President was saying this morning, where he said that freedom is an important good, but above freedom is justice, fairness, and peace. So I suppose, is there a lot of partisanship? Is there a worry in Indonesia that maybe social media or the way public communication is going could be disintegrating at the state level?
Yeah, because of negative information or hate speech, they attack each other, and they black campaign, and also the purpose of hoax not just about economic reason, but also for political reason, and sometimes maybe for about ideological war, ideological war. It is very distressing that the nation can disintegrate by hoax.
Okay, thanks. On the other hand, we saw the former Nobel Peace Prize winner today saying that freedom of speech to him is sort of indispensable in the context of democracy. So there's probably sort of some leeway in interpreting freedom of speech. Okay, Adama Liba. Not only are you the youth representative of various international organizations and initiatives, you yourself are very active on social networks such as Facebook and especially Snapchat. Have you ever encountered hate speech, and how do you think MRL can help to counter it?
So, thank you very much for that question. Yes, I am very much involved in a lot of media platform, and in the Gambia, one of the most problematic issue that we face as young people is culture and religion. And our elders always confuse the term being bold and being right, and being rude. Excuse me. So it's always like, are you bold? When you are bold, you're rude, and when you are submissive, you are like the good person. So in my first project worked in the Gambia was all girls conference, where I actually hosted 600 girls from all over the country to talk about early marriage, teenage pregnancy, FGM, and how we can improve ourselves in schools. And in this, in doing this project, I will not call myself an Islamic scholar, but I actually studied the Quran for 12 years. And then I also started getting into engagement and debates with Islamic scholars who backed most of traditional, harmful traditional practices backed in by the religion. For example, female genital mutilation. And they always back it like, oh, it's Islamic, you have to do it. You go to your parents, it's cultural, you have to do it. So I get into a debate one time with the imam of the country, and then he said, every woman needs to be submissive, and you don't need to raise your voice. And if you need to be caught, obviously you have to be caught as a woman because you are impure. And this is in the religion, and you have to abide by it. So I asked him a question. Allah said, لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ. He said, I have created mankind from the best of creation. So who are you to tell me that a woman needs to be circumcised in order to be purified, to be part of humankind? So I get into so many debates with stakeholders and imams, wherever you base your justification for suppressing women and telling them that they shouldn't speak up. So I started getting too much on my hands, and my radio show was one time shut down. So to answer the question is, how do I deal with this? To expose them. Sometimes that is the only way. That's the only evidence you have. You have Facebook. If you post something since 2001, you're probably still going to find it there, right? You're still going to find it there. So these are evidence. These are trends you can collect and show people when the D-Day comes. Because obviously, they will come after you. They will start threatening you. They'll start saying, if you don't do this, we're gonna kill you, or we're going to hurt you. Yeah, our former president would say, I am going to kill you and kill your family, and nobody's going to say anything. But through MIL, we are able to show him that we're not going to retaliate like the way he did, but we're going to use media. We're going to use our mobile phones. We're going to use our radios. We're going to use the any platform we have to educate young people. Go out and vote. Go out and register. This is what this man is doing, and it is not right, and we have justification. So media information literacy is very good to empower young people how to use what they really get fond of, and which is the mobile phone. So if you have hate speech, record it and post it. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. So, Mr. Al-Kafaween, I suppose we're in the MENA region now. So you specialize in digital literacy. Do you find that young people you encounter during your courses have encountered hate speech, and what do you tell them how to act?
Actually, there is two level about hate speech. If we're talking about hate speech in social media by individual, and if we're talking about the media already, because in Jordan we have a huge number of news websites. We have around 200 news websites in Jordan, but if anyone know Jordan, it's a small country in the Middle East, so the population there, it's about 9 million. So if we're talking about 200, around 200 news websites, so there is a lot of journalists there, a lot of mistake there, a lot of hate speech there. For example, we have a hate speech in Jordan about Syrian refugees, because we have a huge number of Syrian refugees in Jordan. We have around 1.5 million. So if we take a look, when the people be aware to if the media publish right information or good information or wrong information, that's mean the journalist will do the best way or the better job. And I'm a journalist. If people critical of my work, I will think 100 times before I write something. That's why we try to learn to the student and the after school clubs and the university students, because if they have an extra information than the journalist or than the people or the social media user, so that you have a power who own the information, who always own the power for that tools. Actually, we learned them also about a lot of tools, social media tools, how to. I think in Jordan we have around 5 million users on Facebook. If we compare 5 million users on 9 million population, more than the half of people there they have accounts, but not all of them know how to use Facebook in the right way. Not all of them know how to be secure on Facebook. If you wanna secure some information, you put it, or some family picture, you put it or post it on Facebook. So and briefly, we learn them how to access to information and how to critique that information, how to own a critical mind, and finally how to create. Actually, we try to learn them how to use the mobile and to take photo, to take video, to create a message, to post it or to share it in digital media or on social media in general, to create that content that it's already included in his opinion about some issue, or maybe it's a public issue or something.
Okay, but probably in a responsible manner. So, yeah. So in that sense, you teach them not to do hate speech, but constructive messages.
Actually, they can compact the hate speech if they learn how to what's happened after that. If they learn or if they know that all the messages that come from through social media or through any channel else that has a creator and that have opinion that they want you to follow that or to polarize you to that idea, they will know how to face that idea in general.
Okay, so that's an important thing. I think we have to note that media and information literacy is not about only the technical side of things,
exactly,
because you can use the technical side for positive or for negative. So there's something added in media and information literacy, the positive, the human rights based approach. Okay, Mr. Tiang, people in Cambodia have the reputation of being very polite. So is hate speech a problem in Cambodia at all?
Yeah, sure. I think we consider that our people are polite people. We always friendly. Always, even though in the grassroots area when they meet foreigner, they always say hello. But however, the user, the number of users of the social media, especially Facebook, has exploded for the last few years. And while this is exploded, also there is an increasing concern over the hate speech, fake news, and also polarization. And actually, according to the study of the Asia Foundation, the Asia Foundation, they conducted a study last year. There were the three media channels that people have access to information, but the first one is Facebook. That 30% of the people who have access to information through the Facebook, and the TV 29, and the radio 15. But the TV and radio are almost controlled by the government, so only the Facebook that people are still free to access to information. However, the hate speech and fake information also undermine the credit of information through the Facebook. And to counter that, there is an youth organization they call Cambodian Youth Network, CYN. They conducted the online survey among the Facebook users. What are the problems that they concern about the information through the Facebook? And then 70% answer that their more concern is the fake news on the Facebook. And then that's why I think the media literacy and media and information literacy is one of the concepts that should be the best approach to balance, to try to gain the credit of the Facebook user. My organization, Cambodian Center for Independent Media, under the funding from the DW Academy, we run the project for more than 2 years. And that project, we train the 20 young school students. Most of them are girls, 60% are girls. We train them in the media and information literacy. And these people we provided with the TOT training. After the training, they also provided training to their peer in their respective community and school. And so far, this project has trained the 500 students. After the training, we conducted a survey, and we have found out that there is a big change. One of the change, the student or the youth who have been trained, they said after the training make them change a lot, especially the perception. They used to understand that they use Facebook just for entertainment, and they also understand that whatever they post on the Facebook is true because it is a public show, and then they consider it's true. But after the training, they said it is opposite. And one thing, and the other thing, they said they thought that they cannot share any information concerning politics or social issue through the Facebook because it is shown publicly. And even though our culture that the senior or the older always educated the younger that don't be involved in politics. So that's why this is perception bear in mind among the young people. However, after the training, they said no, they can share whatever that they thought is true or what happened in the society. And then not only change themselves, but they also change their parents. And so this is one of big impact that we have seen. And the other thing, through this project, through the impact, we bring this lesson learned to convened the Ministry of Education in Cambodia, and after months of discussion of meeting, right now the Ministry of Education decided to integrate the MIL as a curriculum in the program for student grade 12. And start from this school year, the around 100,000 students per year that have been educated in MIL. Yeah.
Okay, so it's good to hear that MIL can make a difference, not just at the local level, apparently for society as a whole. I think we should probably make this a bit more interactive, and so I'm going to open it up to the audience. If you've got any questions that you'd like to ask, then feel free. Yeah, I think we've got some hands up. Have we got someone with a microphone who can? Okay, great. So where are we? Yes? Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much, Mr. Moderator. I'm Bini Bukhari from Indonesia. There are a couple of things that resonates with the Indonesian experiences, as Ibu Niken correctly put, and your questions into where do we put the balance between protecting the state and protecting the interests of the public and censorships. And I just would like to know the experiences from the panelists. Freedom of expression is something that we all value. But how do you distinguish between freedom of expression and the use of expression for specific purposes? Just for example, the government was recently accused of recruiting 10 million Chinese workers, which is totally hoax, totally fake news. But the damage has been done. Where do you put the, where is the border? Where do you distinguish that? And then whether we could also hope from the platform to also teach us and share experience how to tackle this issue. Thank you.
Okay, I'll put that to the panel. Anyone want to start?
So I think that's, a really interesting discussion. And for us, the integrity and quality of the news feed is really important to Facebook. So we want people to see the things that they care about, and we want the information to be correct. We do find, because we have a real name policy, so anything, a real account is a real person. You have your name there, you have everything, so you know it's me. When you look at Claire Deavy, you know it's me. So that helps to a certain extent because people can't hide behind an alias so you don't know who they are. We also work very closely on the product and with other organisations around where people are abusing that. So if you see an account that you believe is fake, you can report it and it will be taken down. It has to be a real person. In terms of the integrity of the news that you see, this is really where going from the beginning, teaching that media literacy, the ability to think critically about what you see online, not just on Facebook but anywhere, is at the core of what our partnerships are. And it can be very easy to assume that that's just for people new to the internet. But for instance, my husband, I've been speaking to him now, so he would often say, oh, I saw this story about this, and it may not be false, but maybe it wasn't 100% researched. And he often stops himself now and says, before I tell, I'm just going to work out what the source of that was, and then I'll share what this story is. So I think there is a responsibility for us as Facebook, a responsibility for people sharing things. So when you share something, have you actually read the article? Have you gone through to see what it is? And then at the extreme end of it, we are trying to work in terms of taking down content that involves trolling, that involves fake accounts, that involves fake news. And we're trying to look at how we continue to evolve our product to do that better as well.
Okay, yes?
So to add on to that, I would just give you like our experience from the Gambia during our election. So after the president lost, there were so many allegations like on the media, whereas people who were in the diaspora would write fake news about him, and then people would react very badly. So this is where real journalism comes to play, because you don't have to be biased. Sometimes you don't have to like a certain particular person or a president, but that doesn't mean that you have to spread fake news. That you have to stick to it. So one way we actually dealt with that was we actually contacted like journalists on the ground in the Gambia who were actually trustworthy, that people actually respected, who were very credible, and tell them that this is not true, and so person said this, but it's actually not confirmed, and it's totally just to damage his image. So it's going to be a little bit confusing, because some people will be like, oh, this guy is a dictator for 22 years, why do you still want to defend him? That is not defending him. That is actually telling people what is right and what is wrong. So it doesn't matter whether you don't support them, but just bring out the truth. And how to solve it, since it is not true, like I said, just try to find a credible source or credible media or a person that people listen to or respect. So in this case, in my country, we actually use one of the political leaders. His name is Khalifa Saleh. He's well known around the world for his human rights activism and journalism. And to give him stories or to give him correct news and said, this is what was said about the president, but it is not true. And he will go on national TV and clarify it. So I think that's one way you can actually combat it.
Okay, I think we're going to be moving on. Because fake news and hate speech have both been mentioned, but there's another aspect that we'd like to talk about today. I'd like to start this next section with a quote from a philosopher, John Dewey, who said, "Everything which bars freedom of communication sets up barriers that divide human beings into antagonistic sects and factions, and thereby undermines the democratic way of life." So this tendency towards antagonistic factions, towards polarization in the public debate, is another problematic tendency of our time, amplified by what Eli Pariza has called filter bubbles. We engage in what he calls auto-propaganda, only listening to arguments that feed into what we already believe. So, Ms. Barr, do you get the impression you live in a filter bubble, not letting in arguments that might question your convictions?
Oh, let me say. I don't really think so. I don't really. Well, first of all, I spend my entire, I go to school, okay, so I don't spend my entire time on social media, but most of the time it's on Facebook. And it's a platform where you cannot say whatever you receive there is not, you have not experienced any polarization, because it's a platform, it's a medium where a lot of media houses actually take advantage and share their news with people. So,
but especially Facebook, I'm going to look at you. Especially Facebook often faces this criticism of there's an algorithm that feeds into, or that programs the news feed, and that gives you certain things that you're looking for anyway. It doesn't surprise you. It doesn't give you sort of a different picture or different perspective of what you're looking for. It often gives you the same of what you've already seen.
I beg to differ. I mean, if you...
I'll beg to differ as well.
Yes.
Okay, you can react straight away, and then obviously you'll be next.
In this era that away from Facebook, I'm just going to bring another media. Like, for example, you on Snapchat. I mean, at first when it just began, it's like you just posting your numerous videos and that's it. But now they incorporated news. A lot of magazines have taken over. So it's like when you can read something about the Olympics on this side, and then you can just go to another feed and you will see the same news but different perspective of what they're trying to talk about. So we're actually given the choice to decide what really, I'm not going to say right or wrong, but what we really believe that is what is there. So I don't think we are not given a choice. We are actually given a choice.
No, yeah, it's good. You're sort of illustrating what media and information literacy is about. Just being conscious of the dangers of living in a filter bubble, and then getting the information from different sources, so you beat the filter bubble.
Yeah. So the critical thinking comes in when you really want to share that information or wants to make a comment, because you don't just go around making comments and that is fake news. So you even question your own credibility as well. So, yeah, I think we are actually given a choice. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Claire Levy?
Yeah, I think I would add to that. At the core is this idea of media literacy. So how do we teach people to think broadly about the information they see and to go to look for other sources? I know for me personally, I have access to, thanks to the internet, not just social media, such a broad range of media sources now from overseas that growing up I really was reliant on the local paper and the local information that was pushed to me. But somebody has to take you through, how do you go and make sure that this is credible and this is the right article? And how do I challenge myself? So I know in a lot of contentious topics, I'll often go out of my way, because this is an area that I'm in, to look at a completely opposite view. Facebook's also been doing some research around what's the best way to engage with people in this space, and what we have found is just showing somebody the polar opposite of what they believe will often only reinforce their current belief. So we're trying to look at things in terms of a spectrum. So how do you show somebody maybe information that is not exactly what they've been looking at, but slightly different, but challenges their viewpoint? So you take them along a scale. So we're trialling that at the moment. The other thing that we have found is people on Facebook, you have what we call, in addition to your very close friends and family, weaker connections. These are people that maybe I'll be friends with someone who's on this panel or somebody that I met a few years ago, and you become friends, and I still get information from them that I wouldn't have kept in touch with if I wasn't on social media. So we actually find that while you may have a large group of people who have similar ideals to you, you also get these weak connections, and I know I've seen this, people that I didn't realise thought a certain way, and it's encouraged me to think differently about it. The final example I'd give is often when something is posted, because you have this ability to comment as a real person from yourself, if you take the time to read through the comments, you can see polar opposite views coming under one article. So you suddenly, I never actually thought about it from that perspective.
Okay, thanks. So you were speaking about a scale in the public debate, but there does seem to be a tendency in Europe and America for the public debate to be increasingly polarized, considerably, owing to the fact that populists are coming to the fore with a tendency to simplify things and serve sort of arguments of distrust towards public institutions, including the traditional media. So I'd be interested, are there similar tendencies in Indonesia or neighboring countries, Ms. Vidyastuti? And how might one help bridge the gap? So how do you bring perhaps opposing factions together in public communication?
Yeah, actually, the big gap in information related with last several months about election of the governor. It is divided into groups in our media monitoring, and so we as government public relation, we always make many content positive to viral and to make peace, and also to make calm down to the public, because of the public with hawks attack each other, and also a black campaign, and also racist and intolerant. So we make many creative content to support peaceful, because in virtual world it is hateful and also slander is every day we receive in our media social. And also we media information literacy with cooperation with the young people, and also we cooperation with IT university to make positive content and to make gain posting, generasi positive thinking, to face hope and to make huge gap in the small gap. And it is not easy, but we invite many person, and also we invite endorser, we invite key person, and also a public figure to testimony to make a calm down in the real world and also in the virtual world.
Okay, thanks. I think we're going to open it up to the audience once more. Can I ask you just to pose short questions? Please don't make too long statements. Just short questions. Now, the lady in the back, yes. Mm-hmm.
Hi, I'm Joyce Barnathan, International Center for Journalists. And I see that the panel is discussing both hate speech and misinformation. And I wonder whether that's a mistake, whether these should be separate into two different categories and addressed two different ways. The panelists tend to deal with hate speech, which I'm not saying is an easy issue, but it may be an easier issue to deal with than deliberate misinformation campaigns designed to sow confusion where you're not sure what's fact, what's not fact, and by the time you get to figuring out the issue, the damage is done. So I'd just like your thoughts on attacking misinformation as opposed to hate speech.
Okay, that's actually a topic we were going to come to, but it's excellent that you brought it up, so perhaps we can talk about it right now. Any takers? I think we'll just answer that question and then take the next question.
So, excuse me, if we talk about misinformation, I think we can talk about hate speech, because I will take the example that I already said about Syrian refugees. If the journalists say that we have in Jordan 1.5 million refugees, and they allowed to work in general in Jordan, the Jordanian people think it will be take their work or their job, but the misinformation here, and it's a hate speech, and the misinformation information here, it's they can't work in all the job, because they can work just in a specific job. It's already closed for Jordanian. That's its example for the hate speech and misinformation. That's it.
Okay, Mr. Chiang.
Yeah, I think that's right. It is easy to identify hate speech, but not like that for the misinformation. But in order to identify the misinformation, I think we, from my experience, that we train our audience through a radio program or through our online program. We train them how to identify the true or false information by verifying the source and checking the credibility of the source. I think that's something that's easy to train them, but we know it is difficult. It depends on the capacity of the trainee, but this is the only way that we can train and we can identify. And also, I think for me the best way that to train the public to avoid from using the misinformation of fake news or something. I think we train them in ethics, the journalistic ethics of code ethics of media, and understand them the value of credibility when you post the news or you share the news. Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting because sorry for intervening, but I also always had the impression fake news is something that is really difficult to combat because of the question of verification. Journalists go to a lot of trouble to verify or falsify news, and there are a lot of fact-checking sites that are up for that purpose. My question is it possible for the regular media user or Facebook user to be able to do what professional journalists can do? So is there any way for a normal citizen to come to terms with fake news?
So let me jump in here. So we've been working on this for a while now, and we've realised that there are three main drivers of false news, or three areas we can work on. The first is there is false news that is designed with an economic motive. So people are trying to use clickbait or to use you to click through to something that wasn't the right thing, but to get your attention. And we're looking at how do we interrupt those, how do we actually stop the financial incentive for doing that? So the quality testing that we do around anyone who wants to advertise on Facebook. The second thing is around building new products. So this ties into that as well, but the idea that working with our algorithm to think about, like, how do we identify something that is more likely to be false news? And one of the things that I spoke about before is this idea that if people are spreading it without actually clicking through to the article, what's happened there? So they haven't actually looked. This thing's just getting pushed out based on the headline. And the third area, which is really the area that I'm focused on, is this idea of helping people make informed decisions. And I think there is a difference between expecting everybody to be a journalist versus working with people to understand when they read something. So that's where we're trying to get in as early as possible with schools, and probably similar to your program. If you're looking, if this is your first experience of the internet, what are the key things that you need to ask with any piece of information that you look at? And in order for us to disrupt the incentives for false news, we need also people to start thinking about not sharing it, and how do we give them those critical skills from a very early age.
Right. So, as I said, perhaps we'll take two more people from the audience because. Okay. Yes. Here in front.
Yes. There's one in the front.
Thank you very much. Very interesting discussion. That I'm Anton Biro from Yogyakarta. I would like to know from all panelists about media literacy involved in rural areas, because hate speech, fake news also attacking people in rural area, not only urban area. Would you like to give information about specific program and then learn from its countries here? Thank you very much.
Okay, I think that goes straight to Mr. Chiang, who works with rural.
Actually, I don't get the whole question. So
Not just city. How do you work outside?
Yeah, actually. Actually, the project that I raised about our project that provide the MIL training to the people we conducted in the rural area, not in the city, where there is remote information to them. And like you said, the fake news or hate speech, more the information that they used to believe in. But after the training, they understand how to verify the information. For example, in the country, there are few sources that they consider the independent media that they can trust. For example, like our new program VOD, Free Asia, VOA. These are something that they can trust. They can verify plus to what they have learned in order to verify the sources of information. But I think I think that one thing. And the other thing, the interesting thing is to teach them, to educate them in how to make news. When they understand how to make news, then they can compare from what they understand to what they see, and then they can decide if they believe or not. I think that's important thing.
How do you encounter sort of differing education levels between urban and rural population? So is that a special challenge in the rural context?
As a curriculum changes?
No. Just if you look at sort of the average education level in rural areas, it's considerably lower than in urban areas. So my question is: media and information literacy often taught at schools and universities, and so are there certain challenges that you have to overcome when you're doing it at the in rural contexts?
Exactly. Actually, there is a lot of challenges that maybe face this issue, exactly because if we're talking about the public school in Jordan, for example, if we're talking about the public schools in Jordan, not all of them it's the facilities there it's good, or it's qualified to teach the student another curricula. So and you can't change the curricula. It's as easy as you think, because it's hard, or it's so hard to change the curricula. And before we tell the people or the student and that there is a responsibility that if they share or like or do or use that tools that we teach them, we should learn them or train them how to use the open source check website. If we want to train them to check a photo or text, or how to search, do you know if we learn them or if we train the student how to search in the right way, that we will cross a lot of fraud, because if you know how to search, you know how to find the information, so you know how to catch the truth. This is the ones. And also we told our student not just to take the information from the one side. We don't need the tools in this issue, exactly, and we don't need teacher. We need to let them see see news or read news from another perspective, to know the information or to know whole picture in general.
Okay, I might add. Okay, yes.
I'm not sure whether I get the question right, but for what I've what I can say is, in my country, when I come up with young people in the media, it's actually a set of young people that actually make a news on the radio, like a local radio. So we speak like in different languages, basically in local languages, to educate people out there on issues that we're facing, and also invite their views. What do they think the government should do, or what do they think parents should do, or other young people who also ask questions of their concern. So when we wanted to move this particular setting to rural Gambia, we started putting into so many consideration: access to electricity, access to these gadgets, whether they have smartphones, whether they have local phones, whether they have radios. So these are all things that you can put into consideration before you're talking about MIL. It's not actually an independent element you can say MIL and that's it. No, it comes with so many things. So, technology has to come into play. So if they don't have internet connectivity, how can they access the information? Then you have to start moving lower. Do they have radios? Do they have access to electricity? So I don't know really what is your question about the MIL. But for rural areas, there's so many things involved and so many challenges, I could tell you. It's involved. So in order to involve them, you have to work with them what they have and try to upgrade from there. So if you have funding, That's nice. From my country, we actually lobbied for mobile phones that we call 4Gs from a mobile company that was actually selling it to students in the school through spelling competition. So whoever won, you're given a mobile phone. So those who actually have the mobile phone were actually trained how to download Unique FM, like where they can listen to us every Sunday. So that's one way we did to actually get them involved or teach them a mile.
And
So I
super,
don't know whether that answered your question.
And super quickly, for us in Indonesia specifically, we've done this online and offline. So one of the good things about social media is the reach that you have. So there's more than 90 million Indonesians are on Facebook every month actively, a lot of them every day. Through our news literacy project, we recently ran a localised public service announcement, so it appeared on the top of your news feed with tips about how to look for false news. And then offline, we hit the ground. So we went around to 7 cities, including Yogyakarta, with a Think Before You Share, working with the schools around how to think before you do it. And we went Medan, Malang, Denpasar, Bandung, Surabaya, Yogyakarta. So actually getting out and speaking to people directly, and that's helped my team and I shape what our program looks like this year based on the feedback we heard from all over Indonesia last year.
Okay, I might add, DW Academy is doing a project in the Palestinian territories where we also had a problem with technical facilities, and so what we did was wall newspapers and using the school intercom for sort of morning radio shows. So depending on what you have on the ground, you can actually start with very basic means. Okay, so I think we should, as I said, we've done fake news. Now I want to talk about this aspect that's been touched on about curricula and young students. Here's a quote from Maria Ranieri, who says, media literacy education activities may transform into acts of citizenship when media analysis and production connect with students' interests and passions. So I suppose my question here would be, is this possible in the school context? That's the one question. And the other question is, I'm sure we all agree that institutionalizing media and information literacy is key to keeping this competency alive and spreading it. So first question, would you say that the school context is the only and the right way to go if you're looking for students' true interests and passions?
For me? Yeah, I think that's possible and the right place to do, and because most of the young people are at school, and in the context of Cambodia, at least one people use smartphone, at least one, but the majority use 2 at least. So that means everyone has the smartphone, and then if the school adopt the curriculum on the MIL for teaching the student, I think that quite big impact on media literacy.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, in Indonesia, we will propose media literacy education can get an curriculum in the school because of curriculum for maybe for young people. It is a very good way to face hope and also many negative content. And also we in MCIT also we make competition content positive for the school, for the student. And also we have a competition for blogger to make content positive.
Okay, thanks. So it seems to be on the national agenda, which I think is one real challenge in a lot of countries where media and information literacy isn't really something that governments are facing or taking up. Okay, I think, is there, okay, one more statement, then we'll just open it to the floor again, and then we'll wrap it up.
Actually, I just want to mention something. As I mentioned, we start MEL clubs in 8 schools. So when we start that clubs, we trained 26 teachers to learn that student what is MEL and how can they use media and information literacy tools and in general. But and we tell them we don't need it as a regular lesson or regular class, and we need 15 students in each clubs, and it's optional registration. After 2 weeks, when we start the clubs, the teacher called us and said, can we make it 20 or can we make it 25? Because the student it's so interested in this issue, and that's what we need. We need the student interest in this issue exactly, in this MEL clubs and in general, and then we will talk to parents to tell him that what's the benefit of MEL in general, and the curriculum it's in general. It's not all of the curriculum it's technical, and not all of them it's theory or something, because we need the technical to polarize the student, because we talked about teenager in general and in schools. We need that interest or that expression in his face, yeah, I need to know more information about media literacy, about check, how can I check if this photo it's right or not, if there is any responsibility of me if I share this information or not, how can I check this information. It's that's it in general.
So commitment is key. Yes. Okay, so any more questions from yes? Have we got the microphone? Yeah. Okay, thanks.
That's one thing. Sorry, one thing. Okay. Thank you. I'm Janita from Leiden University, the Netherlands. I would like to ask, probably this will be suitable for Mrs. and Nikan Widyastuti, who are working with the government. I would like to know, from the approach of the government and doing media literacy education, who are the stakeholders that you are approaching, and whether you are also includes law enforcement to also counter online hate speech or hoaxes, for example, fake news, and if that's so, to what extent that you would have the law enforcement taking over the situation when, let's say, media literacy is not enough to handle it? I think that would be my question. Thank you.
The stakeholder of media literacy, as I said, that we cooperation with 80 universities all over Indonesia, and we make look like core of value in our media social act. Look like ready as responsible. We must think and responsible for content that we upload. Empathy, that we must think and have empathy for the impact of content that we upload toward other person feeling, and authenticity, and the student have to we still original and beware for all content that we upload. And also discernment, we must be critical and evaluate information or online content that we have before taking action, and also integrity. We must do the right thing, that to speak the truth against negative behavior in online. This core value that we as a content of our workshop, and we support the students and also all stakeholders to make core value in media social. And then to apply the law, we also literacy about the law that not only who create negative content that will can dapat dihukum, yeah, can affect the law, but also who viral the negative content also it is break the law. Look like this.
Okay, thanks for that statement. The gentleman over there.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Leon Morse with IREX, and I was wondering if some of the panelists could talk, please, about the evaluation techniques that you use to demonstrate that the activities you're undertaking are effective, and specifically if they are indeed bulwarks against hate speech.
Okay, yes, perhaps we'll take two questions. Anyone else? Yes, the lady here by the aisle.
Actually, I would like to, I'm a journalist from Thailand. I wonder, like, when we talk about the media literacy, that try to tackle the issue of misinformation, fake news, and also hate speech. From my observation, it's not about the people don't know, especially the young generation. They grew up with the internet. They know quite well. The problem is probably the old generation who are quite new and don't know how to deal with the technologies. That's first. That's one question. Yeah. And another question, actually, it's not about people don't know, but people want to manipulate because of polarization or politicize. They know how to navigate or manipulate and make the misinformation to support their agenda. I don't know how you deal with these kinds of problem. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. So maybe we'll start with the second question first. So what about the old generation? Aren't we leaving them out here?
Yes. The first picture was how we evaluate.
I can speak a little on the evaluation one if you like.
Okay, but perhaps we'll stick to the second question first. So first about people who aren't Snapchatting every day.
Who wants to admit to being old? That's the.
What about them? Aren't they? Shouldn't they actually be the key target group of media and information literacy?
Actually, part of our project it's to raise awareness about media and information literacy. And in this lecture, we go to cities in general and to in public place and start talking about media literacy and tools. So through this presentation or through this lecture, we try to let people know some tips about how to use Facebook, for example, how to use email, how to secure himself, and that's in general. And if we raise awareness in these people, I think we can let them use their mind to search about information. We give them some information, and they go back and search about another information or misinformation that we don't support him.
And we also are working with seniors organisations in different countries, particularly countries like Japan and Korea. I'm starting to look at what the opportunities are where there is an ageing demographic. I have taken a personal pledge to educate my father to stop embarrassing me with his comments on my photos. So that's my personal commitment around that. But seriously though, I think it's the same thing. We're looking at this at all angles, and again, it's the partnership. So who are the organisations that are going to understand what the needs are of seniors or of parents or of teachers, and how do we work work with them to get that core critical thinking skills to them in a way that is going to be engaging and make sense.
Okay, let's...
Evaluation?
Sorry? Yes, let's come back to the first question. Or Mr. Chen?
I want to share to my contribution to the question raised by Chu from Thailand. I think, yes, it is true it's very difficult to stop fake news or to counter the people who make fake news. But I think we cannot stop that, we cannot prevent that. But I think the best way that we can do is education provided to the public. And in Cambodia, the government make the issue that, okay, there are a lot of fake news online now, so it's better to make a law, they call it anti-cybercrime law, and that can be punished, those who make news. But I think it is dangerous for the freedom of expression and individual freedom. So I think for me, information either from the professional media or from the individual, I think it depends on the influence from the audience. So it's better to provide education or raise awareness to the audience, to the public. That from time to time, that I hope they can challenge with the commitment or the feeling of the people who want to make fake news.
Okay, thanks. Coming back to the first question, it was pertaining to how do you prove that media and information literacy actually makes a difference?
Actually, in our project, we are in pilot in the pilot project, and we try to take feedback. We try to take a feedback to know if if our lesson is effective or not. Maybe by the end of July, we can prove that. But before that, I can't.
So 3 things for us on that. First of all, on hate speech, particularly Facebook has partner delivered demos research. So we've done 2 rounds of this research, which done at an academic level around which types of counter speech are most effective. It's available online if you search the demos counter speech research. So that looks at, are you better off countering with words? Should it be videos? Should it be images? When is humour more appropriate? When should you take a hard factual line? And the impact that these things have differ from country to country, so we've looked in depth at different countries in terms of what we should be doing. And when we roll out things like our hackathon, we educate these people about, this is the research that we've done, now you come up with the ideas that you think builds on the best of this. We also recently launched the News Integrity Initiative, which I spoke about briefly, which has 25 funders, and it's a $14 million fund which people can apply to. And part of that is we're also looking at academic level research into this area of hate speech and misinformation around the news. So we're asking people to work with us. Again, we don't have all the answers, so work with us on what we can do to look at impact. In Indonesia specifically, as I mentioned, we did a tour around these cities last year, so 7 different cities, to ask young people what they thought the issues were, think before you share, what things concern them. And as we scope out the program this year, we're going back around those same areas, speaking to those people again, to the organisations, to the schools. And one of the key things we're asking them, in addition to bringing new information, is what has changed in your behaviour since we saw you last time? So I think probably 12 months from now I'll have even more information, probably very specific to the countries where we're starting to roll these programs out.
Yes. So for us in the for us in the Gambia, as a president of Young People in the Media, I actually in 2014 to 2015, we actually acquired a lot of funding from the U.S. Embassy and the British High Commission, whereas we trained like over 40 journalists in the country to on media and information literacy. And not only the traditional way, but it's more like informal, how to use the mobile phone to actually record information or to interview people in the field, because sometimes they're in certain areas in the country where there is no electricity or there is so many technicalities involved, but they can still use their mobile phones to interview and also make very authentic news out there where people can read from. So how do we know this was effective? It was during the elections. So the opposition won the election, and then the president accepts, and after 5 days he's like, no, I'm sorry, that was a mistake, I never said that. And then he dismissed anybody who ever called him a former president, and he stopped every person that was using, that was going to the national television, because we have only one TV in the whole country, and anybody who is going there to have any program to actually clarify the issues, what the international, what the Independent Electoral Commission says about the elections, condemn everybody. So what we did was to tell them, okay, you can use your mobile phones, just like we trained you guys. Go and interview people in the field, like put this out there. We used Facebook Live, which was very useful. I have to applaud them for that. They really help us. So this is one way we actually can evaluate from my country that it was very useful that we trained them. I didn't regret spending sleepless nights on the floor writing thesis. So it was very useful. So never regret it. Never actually think twice to train a journalist on any aspects, just to have a way to produce information that people can actually get access to. Because the moment, especially when they're credible, the moment they put it out there, people actually take it very seriously, and they will start to share it. And in my country, it's like we're 1.2 million people. If you greet somebody in the morning, by the time the end of the day, you might see that person's second cousin or third cousin. They were like, I know her or I know him. So it was very easy for us to share information among us. Does that answer the question? Thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot. I think we have time for one last question. Yes, the lady in the back. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good afternoon, thank you. I'm Leah from Jakarta. There is a phenomenon that those who spread hate speech, they are also being paid. So we call them buzzers. How could we deal with them to tackle this issue? Thank you.
Okay. Any? Okay. Adamali Bar saying, take a second question. So we'll take a second question from a young person. Who had the hand up there? Okay, yes. Let the youth have a voice.
So thank you for the chance. So I was wondering about media literacy. I was wondering, well, I heard some people said that this media literacy, there is an organization that is directly fighting against hoaxes and stuff like that. Well, and there are some people who said that this organization is actually biased. They're working against some group of people. So how do we act well in situations like that? How do media literacy organizations act on that? Thank you.
Okay, I think we'll start with the second question. Any immediate reactions?
I think.
So, with your question, they said media literacy organization is biased, right? It's biased. Okay, that's a new one. I've heard they said it's very bad. Don't ever attend those meetings. I mean, they just make you to go on, the internet and expose yourself. Your privacy is not protected, and all whatnot. No, we are here for a very good cause. Listen, we are millennials. We are born in this era, and I'm sure you'll wake up every morning. I mean, if you have a daughter, imagine you wake up in the morning, you go to work, you come back in the evening, and you have a nanny who looks after her. What evidence do you have that whatever she does from the time you were not at home was something that you would really want her to do in your presence? You don't know. But now in this present age, you can actually connect your phone, interlink your two phones with your daughter, and you will know whatever they're doing. Any website they are open, you know where they are. You'll know wherever they are, because you can actually tap their navigation. So what is more nice than that? So you actually have my father would say, if you think technology is really bad, let earthquake hit you and you under the rocks, and somebody try to find you with GPS. is technology bad then? It's not. It's actually good. It's going to save your life. So and everything in this world, in this present era, it has its own pros and cons. But with media and information literacy, we have more pros than cons. So whether they say it's biased, it's not biased. Maybe you could have asked them more questions like, what do they mean, like we are biased, or why we are a bad organization, like they put it. I think we're just here to educate and give everybody the opportunity to express themselves.
Okay, thanks for the graphic example. Ms. Widya Stuti, do you want to react to the last question? Okay. Okay, then coming back to the first question, it was about hate speech, and what do you do about people who are actually paid to spread hate speech or come up with hate speech?
Okay, looking this way. So I think financial incentives aside, in terms of dealing with hate speech, regardless of what drove somebody to do this, the way that Facebook works at it in terms of taking down fake accounts, using our technology to look at stopping fake news from proliferating, working on the partnerships. That for us is where we're working to stop it, regardless of what the incentive is. I think to your point, though, it comes back to right at the beginning of this conversation. None of us can work on this by ourselves, so there is an element within government, within civil society, within organisations such as Facebook as in individuals that we can each do along the trail of what actually drives hate speech or misinformation.
Okay, I'm afraid that's all we have time for today. Thanks a lot for joining us on this panel dedicated to media and information literacy, and now go and use your smartphones.
I don't think I have any.
Thanks so much.
Yeah.